This evening, we embark together on a journey of self-exploration and timeless teachings. The Zen Buddhist path contains deep wisdom that can shed light on the territories of our inner world, and we will uncover these insights through soft narratives and contemplations that resonate with the soul. Before we start, if you feel moved to share, please tell us from which nation you are joining and what hour marks your present moment. From what distant land do you draw breath alongside us this evening? What awaits you here are gentle calls to awareness and equally to profound rest. These are signposts toward the moon. Do not cling to the signpost, behold the moon directly. Quiet revelations that the cluttered mind misses, yet the calm heart grasps instantly. We will settle into timeless tales that unveil more than they describe. We will practice observing our inner dialogue as leaves floating down a stream, while the stream itself flows on undisturbed. Difficult feelings will be received as teachers bearing gifts, not opponents requiring battle. Good evening. A heartfelt welcome to you. This is a ground for inner growth, a refuge to feed the soul and stir consciousness. Here you may simply exist, find your rhythm, and let these teachings draw you deeper within. Everything essential already resides in you. We are merely uncovering what has always been present. If something here resonates in your depths, return whenever this quiet meeting calls to you. Subscribe to keep this haven of stillness within reach. Now, draw in a full breath and arrive completely in this moment. The Buddha taught that to know oneself is to understand the entire universe. Your mind is not separate from the vast consciousness that moves through all things. When you observe your own mind with kindness and curiosity, you are participating in the most sacred practice available to human beings. This is not about fixing yourself or becoming someone else. This is about seeing clearly what is already here, what has always been here, waiting patiently beneath the noise. Now, allow your body to settle completely. Feel the surface beneath you receiving your weight, holding you without effort. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Soften your jaw, release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to accomplish. The day with all its demands is behind you now. You are here, in this moment, in this breath. That is enough. As we move forward together, we will explore the nature of the mind through the lens of Zen wisdom. Each story, each teaching, each practice is designed to help you see more clearly, to rest more deeply, to know yourself more fully. You are not alone on this journey. Countless beings throughout history have walked this same path, and their insights will light our way. Let us begin with open hearts and quiet minds, ready to discover what has always been true. The mirror without dust. Consciousness and clarity. In a monastery nestled among misty mountains, there lived a young monk named Shen. Each morning before dawn, Shen would rise and carefully polish the bronze mirror in the meditation hall. He believed that just as dust gathered on the mirror's surface, obscuring its reflection, so too did thoughts and emotions cloud the mind's natural clarity. For years, he devoted himself to this practice, wiping away the dust, seeking the perfect reflection. One day, the abbot watched him and smiled softly. After Shen finished, the abbot asked, "Where is the dust now, and where is the mirror?" Shen looked confused. "The dust is gone, master. I cleaned it away." "The mirror is here, clear and bright." The abbot nodded slowly. "And in your mind, where are the thoughts And where is the awareness that sees them? Shen opened his mouth to answer, but found no words. The abbot continued, "You have been polishing for years, believing the mirror needs cleaning. But what if the mirror was never dirty? What if clarity is the nature of the mirror itself, and dust only appears to cover it temporarily?" This teaching points to something profound about the nature of consciousness. Your awareness, the part of you that observes thoughts and feelings, is like that mirror. It is inherently clear, luminous, untouchable by the content that passes through it. Thoughts arise like dust particles floating in a beam of light. They appear, they drift, they disappear. But the light itself remains unchanged. You are not the dust. You are the light. You are not the thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. So often we suffer because we identify with the dust, with the passing content of our minds. We say, "I am anxious, I am angry, I am sad," as if these temporary states define our very being. But this is like the mirror saying, "I am dusty, I am dirty, I am broken." The mirror is none of these things. The mirror simply reflects what is placed before it, and when the object is removed, the mirror returns to its natural clarity. Your consciousness is the same. It receives experiences without being damaged by them. The practice, then, is not to polish the mirror endlessly, trying to achieve some perfect state of mind. The practice is to recognize that the mirror is already perfect, already clear. When a thought arises, you do not need to fight it or fix it. You simply notice, "Ah, here is a thought." You observe it the way you might observe a bird flying across the sky. The bird comes, the bird goes, and the sky remains vast and open. You are the sky, not the bird. Let us practice this now, together. Bring your attention to your breath, feeling the natural rhythm of air moving in and out. As you breathe, thoughts will arise. This is certain. This is natural. When you notice a thought, silently acknowledge it. You might say to yourself, "Thinking," or "Here is a thought about tomorrow," or "Here is a memory." Do not judge the thought. Do not push it away. Simply name it with gentleness and then return your attention to the breath. Each time you do this, you are practicing the art of observing without identifying. Notice how the thought comes on its own, without your invitation. Notice how it eventually fades, without your effort. You are not creating these thoughts deliberately, and you are not making them leave. They arise and pass like weather patterns, like seasons, like waves on the ocean, and through it all, you remain. The awareness that notices the thought coming, the awareness that notices the thought going, that awareness is constant. That awareness is you, the truest you, the you that cannot be touched by any passing experience. The sixth patriarch of Zen, Hui Neng, once said, "From the beginning, not a thing is." He was pointing to this truth, that consciousness itself is empty of content, pure and clear like space. All the things we worry about, all the stories we tell ourselves, all the identities we cling to, these are like clouds passing through empty sky. They are real in their moment, but they are not permanent, and they are not who you are. When you see this clearly, a great freedom arises. As you rest here tonight, allow yourself to be the mirror, not the dust. Allow yourself to be the sky, not the clouds. Allow yourself to be the awareness, vast and open, in which all experiences come and go. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to arrive. Simply rest in your own true nature, which has been here all along, waiting patiently for you to recognize it. This recognition is the beginning of all wisdom. Now we will explore further into the nature of mind, discovering how thoughts move like water, and how we can learn to sit peacefully at the riverbank of our own consciousness. Let yourself sink a little deeper into rest, trusting that each word is guiding you home to yourself. The river of thoughts. Witnessing without attachment. There was once a young disciple named Kenji who struggled greatly with his meditation practice. His mind seemed impossibly busy, filled with endless thoughts that pulled him in every direction. Frustrated and exhausted, he went to his teacher and confessed, "Master, I cannot meditate. My mind is like a rushing river, too wild to calm." The master smiled and said, "Come with me." They walked together to a nearby stream, and the master instructed Kenji to sit on the bank. "Watch the leaves floating on the water," the master said, "and tell me what you see." Kenji sat and watched as autumn leaves drifted downstream, some quickly, some slowly, some spinning in small eddies before continuing their journey. After a long while, the master asked, "Did you try to stop the leaves? Did you jump into the water to catch them?" Kenji shook his head. "No, master. I simply watched them pass." The master nodded. "And yet the river continues to flow, the leaves continue to float, and you remain peacefully on the shore. Your mind is this river. Your thoughts are these leaves. You do not need to stop them. You only need to remember that you are the one sitting on the bank." This simple teaching contains a profound truth about the nature of observation. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that witnesses thoughts. This distinction, though it sounds simple, changes everything. When you believe you are your thoughts, you are swept away by the current, tumbling over rocks, gasping for air. When you recognize yourself as the witness, you sit peacefully on the shore, watching the water flow past without being carried away by it. Most of us have never learned this distinction. From childhood, we are taught to believe that our thoughts define us. We say, "I think, therefore I am," as if thinking is the essence of existence. But what if it is the opposite? What if you exist most fully in the spaces between thoughts, in the silent awareness that remains when thinking stops? The river of thought is always flowing, yes, but you are not the river. You are the vast space through which the river flows. When you identify with your thoughts, you suffer in specific ways. A worried thought arises, and you become the worry. An angry thought appears, and you become the anger. A sad memory surfaces, and you become the sadness. But these are just leaves floating by. The worry is not you. The anger is not you. The sadness is not you. They are experiences passing through you, through the clear space of consciousness that you truly are. When you see this, when you really see it, you can hold even difficult thoughts with gentleness and ease. Let us practice the art of witnessing now. Close your eyes if they are not already closed, or soften your gaze if you prefer. Bring your attention to the flow of your breath, feeling the cool air entering your nostrils, the warm air leaving. As you breathe, simply notice what arises in your mind. A thought about today, a sound from outside, a sensation in your body, a plan for tomorrow. Whatever comes, greet it silently. You might say, "Ah, planning," or "Ah, remembering," or "Ah, worrying." Name it gently, without judgment, the way you might greet an old friend passing on the street. Notice that the naming creates a little space between you and the thought. You are no longer inside the thought, carried away by it. You are outside, observing it, acknowledging its presence without being consumed by it. This space, This little gap of awareness is immensely precious. In this space, you are free. The thought can be there, and you can be here, present, awake, untangled. Practice this again and again, thought after thought. Each time you name what arises, you are strengthening your capacity to witness, to observe, to remain on the shore while the river flows. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi taught, when you try to stop activity to achieve passivity, your effort fills you with activity. When you accept that your mind produces thoughts like your lungs produce breath, you can relax. Leave your front door and your back door open. Let thoughts come and go. Just do not serve them tea. This is the essence of witnessing. You do not fight the thoughts. You do not invite them to stay. You simply watch them arrive and watch them leave, like guests passing through a room with two open doors. As you rest here, imagine yourself sitting by that gentle stream, watching leaves drift past on the current. Some leaves are beautiful, golden and red. Some are brown and decaying. Some move quickly, some linger in small pools before moving on. You do not judge the leaves. You do not prefer one over another. You simply watch, present, and peaceful, breathing softly, knowing that you are not in the water. You are here, on solid ground, safe and aware. This is your true position, always. The more you practice this witnessing, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you will notice thoughts arising in real time, in the midst of daily life, and you will smile inwardly, recognizing them as just more leaves on the river. This does not mean you stop thinking or planning or remembering. It means you stop being tyrannized by thoughts. It means you reclaim your seat on the riverbank, the seat of awareness, the seat of peace, the trap of the thinker, knowledge versus wisdom. In ancient times, there was a renowned scholar named Lin who had memorized every Buddhist sutra, every teaching, every commentary. Monks traveled from distant provinces to hear him lecture, and his intellect was celebrated throughout the land. One day, a simple Zen master named Ryokan arrived at the monastery where Lin taught. Lin, eager to demonstrate his knowledge, began reciting sutras and explaining their meanings with great precision and eloquence. Ryokan listened quietly, nodding occasionally, sipping tea. After hours of discourse, Lin finally paused and asked, "Master, what do you think of my understanding?" Ryokan smiled and replied, "Your understanding is vast and impressive. Now tell me, who is the one who understands?" Lin was puzzled. "I am the one who understands, of course." Ryokan leaned forward. "And who is this I you speak of? Show me this one who knows so much." Lin began to answer with more concepts, more ideas about the self and consciousness and the nature of mind. But Ryokan gently raised his hand. "You speak of the self, but you have never met yourself. You know about the mind, but you do not know the mind directly. All your knowledge is like a painting of fire. It may be beautiful and detailed, but it will never warm you on a cold night." This story reveals a profound distinction between intellectual knowing and experiential wisdom. You can study yourself for years, read every book on psychology and philosophy and spirituality, and still not know yourself at all. Why? Because knowing about something is not the same as knowing something directly. The map is not the territory. The menu is not the meal. And the concept of yourself is not your actual, living, breathing presence. True self-knowledge comes not from thinking about who you are, but from direct observation of what is actually happening within you, moment by moment. The thinking mind is a brilliant tool. but it is a terrible master. When we rely exclusively on thought to understand ourselves, we create what Zen calls the small self, the ego. The ego is a mental construct, a story we tell about who we are based on memories, preferences, achievements, failures, and comparisons. This story is constantly being updated, defended, and reinforced. The ego says, I am this kind of person. I am not that kind of person. I like this. I hate that. I am successful. I am inadequate. These narratives feel true because we repeat them so often, but they are just thoughts, just concepts, just leaves floating on the river. The trap of the thinker is believing that you can think your way to enlightenment, that you can figure yourself out through analysis and introspection alone. But this is like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror. The instrument you are using to look is the very thing you are trying to see. Thought cannot fully comprehend itself because thought is limited, conditioned, based on past experience and future projection. True awareness, however, exists beyond thought. It is the space in which thought appears, the consciousness that witnesses the thinker thinking. So how do we escape this trap? We return to direct experience. We move our attention out of the head and into the body. Right now, can you feel your hands? Not think about your hands, but actually feel them. The temperature, the tingling, the weight. This is direct knowing. Can you feel your breath moving in your chest? Can you sense the life force pulsing through you? This is wisdom, not knowledge. This is meeting yourself directly, not through the filter of concepts. Let us practice dropping out of the thinking mind and into felt experience. Bring your attention to your feet. Feel them, really feel them. Notice temperature, pressure, sensation. Now move your awareness slowly up your legs, feeling the life in your calves, your thighs. Do not think about your legs, feel them from the inside. Move your attention into your belly, feeling it rise and fall with breath. Now into your chest, your heart space, feeling whatever sensations are present. Move into your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Feel your neck, your face, the crown of your head. You are inhabiting your body directly, knowing yourself through sensation rather than concept. Alan Watts taught beautifully about this when he said, "The menu is not the meal." You can read the menu and imagine the food, but until you taste it directly, you do not know it. In the same way, you can think about yourself endlessly, but until you experience yourself directly, in this moment, as pure awareness and sensation, you remain a stranger to yourself. The real you is not the story in your head. The real you is the living presence that exists before thought arises. As you rest here tonight, practice letting go of the thinker. You do not need to figure anything out. You do not need to understand or analyze or conclude. Simply be present with what is, as it is. Feel your body breathing. Notice sensations arising and fading. Observe thoughts without climbing inside them. This is the direct path to self-knowledge. This is how you meet yourself truly, beyond all concepts and stories. The scholar Lin eventually spent a year in silence with Master Ryokan, not reading, not studying, just sitting and observing his own mind. At the end of that year, someone asked him what he had learned. He smiled and said, "I have learned nothing new. I have simply remembered what I had forgotten, that I am here, alive, aware, and that this has always been enough." May you too remember this ancient truth, not through thinking, but through the direct taste of your own presence. Now let us continue deeper into the landscape of mind, exploring the sacred silence that exists between all sounds, between all thoughts, the silence that is your true home. Allow yourself to sink even further into rest, trusting the journey, trusting yourself. The silence between sounds, the space of pure awareness. In a temple high in the mountains, there lived a master named Bankei who rarely spoke. Students would come seeking teachings, and he would sit with them in silence for hours, sometimes days. Frustrated disciples would ask, "Master, when will you teach us?" And he would smile and say, "I am teaching you now. Can you hear it?" One particular student, a young woman named Yuki, grew especially impatient. She had traveled far to receive instruction and felt she was wasting precious time sitting in silence. Finally, she burst out, "Master, I hear nothing. There is no teaching here, only emptiness." Bankei rang a small bell, a clear, pure tone that filled the meditation hall. The sound rang out, then slowly faded into silence. He asked Yuki, "Did you hear the bell?" "Yes, Master," she replied. "Good," he said. "Now, did you hear the silence before the bell?" Yuki paused, confused. "I suppose so, though I did not think of it as something to hear." "And did you hear the silence after the bell?" Again, "Yes," she answered slowly. Then Bankei said, "The silence was there before the sound, during the sound, and after the sound. The sound came and went, but the silence remained. Which is more fundamental, the sound or the silence?" Yuki sat with this question, and suddenly something shifted in her perception. She realized that she had been so focused on waiting for sounds, for words, for teachings, that she had completely missed the vast, spacious silence in which all sounds arise. The silence was not nothing. It was not empty in a negative sense. It was full, alive, aware. It was the ground of being itself. And in that moment of recognition, she understood what Bankei had been teaching all along. The silence is the teaching. The silence is awareness itself. This same truth applies to the mind. We are so accustomed to focusing on thoughts, on the content of consciousness, that we completely overlook the space in which thoughts appear. Between one thought and the next, there is a gap, a moment of pure awareness without content. This gap is not unconsciousness or blankness. It is consciousness without an object, awareness aware of itself. Most people rush past these gaps, hurrying from one thought to the next, like someone crossing a creek by jumping from stone to stone, never noticing the water flowing beneath. But the water is what matters most. The silence between thoughts is your true nature, the unchanging background against which all mental activity occurs. When you learn to notice these gaps, to rest in them even for a split second, you taste something profound. You taste peace that does not depend on circumstances. You taste a stillness that is always available, no matter how noisy the world becomes. You discover that you are not the thoughts. You are the silence in which thoughts appear. Here is the beautiful secret. You do not need to create this silence. You do not need to achieve it through years of practice. It is already here, always here, closer than your own breath. The only practice required is noticing. Simply pay attention to the space between two thoughts. Pay attention to the moment after you exhale and before you inhale. Pay attention to the pause between two heartbeats. In these tiny gaps, infinite peace resides. Let us practice this together now. Listen to the sounds around you. whatever they may be. The hum of air, distant traffic, the settling of the building, your own breathing. Notice each sound as it arises, and then notice the silence between sounds. Notice the space from which sound emerges and into which it dissolves. Do not strain to hear the silence. Simply relax your attention and let it become aware of the background, the field, the open space that holds all sounds. Rest in this spacious awareness. Now bring this same quality of attention to your thoughts. Notice a thought arising. Notice it passing. And in the brief moment between that thought and the next, pause. Rest in that gap. It may be only a fraction of a second, but it is enough. That gap is a doorway, a portal into your essential nature. Each time you notice the gap, you are strengthening your recognition of what you truly are, the awareness that is always here, silent, spacious, free. Lao Tzu, the ancient Taoist sage, taught, "We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. 30 spokes share the wheel's hub. It is the center hole that makes it useful. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. This emptiness, this silence, this space is not nothing. It is everything. It is the source and ground of all that appears." As you sink deeper into rest tonight, imagine yourself as vast open space, like the sky at midnight. Thoughts, sensations, sounds, all of these are like shooting stars, brief flashes of light against the infinite darkness. Beautiful, yes, but temporary. The darkness, the silence, the space, this is what endures. This is what you are. Let yourself dissolve into this spaciousness, this silence that has no beginning and no end. Here you are home. Here you have always been home. Let us pause here together and simply breathe. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve, no teaching to grasp or understand. For these moments, practice the art of doing absolutely nothing. Let your body become heavy, sinking into whatever holds you. Feel gravity pulling you down gently, the earth receiving you completely. You are safe. You are held. You can let go now. Bring your attention to your breath, but do not control it. Simply observe the natural rhythm that has been breathing you since the moment you were born. Feel the coolness as air enters your nostrils. Feel the gentle expansion of your chest and belly. Feel the soft release as breath flows out, warm and easy. Your body knows how to breathe. Your body knows how to rest. Trust this ancient wisdom. Now scan through your body with gentle awareness. Notice your feet, your legs, releasing any tension you find there. Move your attention into your hips, your lower back, softening, letting go. Feel your belly, soft and relaxed. Your chest, open and at ease. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, heavy and loose. Soften your jaw. Relax your eyes. Let your forehead become smooth and spacious. Your whole body is resting, releasing, returning to its natural state of ease. If you notice your mind trying to do something, trying to control or fix or improve this experience, just smile inwardly. The mind is doing what minds do, but you do not need to follow it. You can stay here, in the body, in the breath, in this moment of simple being. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing you need to change or overcome. You are exactly as you should be, exactly where you should be. Remember, awareness does not require effort. You do not need to try to be aware. Awareness is what you are, not what you do. Just like you do not need to try to be human, you simply are human. In the same way, you do not need to try to be aware, you simply are awareness. Observing the mind is as natural as observing the sky. It takes no more effort than breathing. In fact, it takes less, because breathing still requires the body to move. Awareness simply is. As we continue our journey together, know that you can return to this pause whenever you need it. In the middle of any story, any teaching, any moment, you can stop and breathe. You can feel your body. You can rest in silence. This is not a distraction from the path. This is the path itself. Presence here and now is all there is. Everything else is just elaboration, just decoration around this simple truth. Let yourself settle even more deeply now. Imagine roots growing from your body down into the earth, anchoring you, grounding you. Or imagine yourself as water, flowing into the lowest places, filling every corner with soft presence. Or simply feel yourself as weight, as gravity, as the pull of the earth holding you close. However you imagine it, let yourself be completely supported, completely held, completely safe. There is a teaching in Zen that says, when you sit, just sit. When you walk, just walk. Above all, do not wobble. This means do whatever you are doing with your whole being, without reservation, without the mind splitting itself between here and somewhere else. Right now, you are resting. So rest completely. Do not rest while also planning tomorrow. Do not rest while also reviewing today. Rest fully, totally, without holding anything back. Give yourself this gift. Take 3 deep breaths now, slower than usual. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold gently for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 6. Hold the emptiness for a count of 4. Do this 3 times, and with each exhale, let go a little more. Release tension, release worry, release the need to understand or accomplish anything. Just breathe and be. We are ready now to continue our exploration of the mind, diving deeper into the nature of emotions and how we can hold them with wisdom and compassion. But remember, you carry this pause with you always. Whenever the journey feels too intense, too complicated, too much, return here. Return to breath. Return to body. Return to the simple truth of your presence. This is your anchor. This is your home base. From here, you can explore anything safely, knowing you can always return to this still point, this quiet center, this peaceful now, the garden of emotions, welcoming all visitors. There once lived a gardener named Thomas who tended a beautiful garden behind a small temple. The garden was his pride and joy, filled with carefully cultivated flowers and herbs. But Thomas had a problem. No matter how hard he worked, weeds kept appearing. He would spend hours each day pulling them out, but they always returned, sometimes seeming to grow faster than before. His back ached, his hands were rough and worn, and still the weeds persisted. One day, the temple's elderly abbess came to visit the garden. She watched Thomas furiously pulling weeds and asked, "Why do you fight the garden so?" Thomas looked up, confused. "I am not fighting the garden. I am protecting it from these terrible weeds." The abbess knelt down slowly and touched a dandelion gently. This plant has deep roots that break up hard soil so other plants can grow. This one attracts bees that pollinate your flowers. This one has leaves that make medicine. You call them weeds, but they are part of the garden's wisdom. What if you stopped fighting and started listening? What if you learned to work with all the plants, not just the ones you prefer? Tomas sat back on his heels, struck by her words. Over the following weeks, he began to observe the weeds differently. He noticed which ones actually choked other plants and which ones seemed to help. He learned to leave some, remove others, and most importantly, he stopped being at war with his garden. The garden became more diverse, more resilient, more alive, and Tomas himself became more peaceful, no longer exhausted by endless battle. He had learned that a garden is not about control, it is about relationship, about wisdom, about understanding the nature of growth itself. Our emotional life is exactly like this garden. We have been taught to categorize emotions as good or bad, wanted or unwanted. We try to cultivate only happiness, peace, and joy, while furiously pulling out anger, fear, sadness, and anxiety. We wage war against parts of our own experience, trying to eliminate what we judge as negative. But this approach creates tremendous suffering. The emotions we resist persist and often intensify. The act of fighting them gives them more energy, more attention, more power over us. What if emotions are not problems to solve, but messengers to listen to? What if anger is trying to tell you about a boundary that has been crossed? What if fear is trying to protect you from perceived danger? What if sadness is helping you release what needs to be released? What if anxiety is pointing towards something that matters deeply to you? When we stop fighting emotions and start listening to them, everything changes. We move from war to wisdom, from resistance to relationship. The Buddhist teaching here is profound. What we resist persists. What we welcome transforms. When you meet an uncomfortable emotion with openness and curiosity, instead of judgment and rejection, something remarkable happens. The emotion feels seen, acknowledged, understood, and paradoxically, once it feels fully received, it often softens, shifts, or releases naturally. This does not mean the emotion disappears forever, but it stops being an enemy. It becomes part of the landscape of your experience, another visitor passing through. Let us practice welcoming emotions now, in this very moment. Scan your inner landscape and notice if there is any emotion present, however subtle. Perhaps there is contentment, or maybe a whisper of anxiety about tomorrow, or perhaps sadness, or maybe just numbness or neutral feeling. Whatever is there, acknowledge it. Say silently, "I see you. I feel you. You are welcome here." Do not try to change it or fix it. Simply make space for it. Now locate this emotion in your body. Where do you feel it most strongly? Is there tightness in your chest, butterflies in your stomach, heaviness in your shoulders, warmth in your face? Place your attention there with gentleness. Breathe into that area of your body. Imagine your breath is soft and kind, touching the emotion with compassion. You are not pushing it away, you are breathing with it, being with it, allowing it to be exactly as it is. This is true courage, not the absence of fear or discomfort, but the willingness to be present with whatever arises. As you breathe with this emotion, you might notice it beginning to shift. It might soften, or move to a different location, or intensify briefly before releasing. Or it might stay exactly the same, and that is perfectly fine. You are not doing this to make the emotion go away. You are doing this to change your relationship with it, to move from resistance to acceptance, from fighting to befriending. This is the garden wisdom applied to inner life. Pema Chodron, a beloved Buddhist teacher, says this beautifully. Feelings like disappointment, embarrassment, irritation, resentment, anger, jealousy, and fear, instead of being bad news, are actually very clear moments that teach us where it is that we are holding back, where we are shutting down, where we are grasping. They are like messengers that show us with terrifying clarity exactly where we are stuck. This moment is the perfect teacher, and it is always with us. As you rest here tonight, practice this welcoming attitude with whatever emotions visit you. See them as guests in your garden, each with their own purpose, their own medicine, their own temporary presence. You do not have to like them all. You do not have to invite them to stay forever. But you can stop exhausting yourself by fighting them. You can learn the wisdom they carry. You can allow them to move through you naturally, like weather moving through the sky, like seasons moving through the year. You are the garden, vast and capable of holding it all. The moon in the lake. Stillness reveals truth. Long ago, in a village near a pristine mountain lake, there lived two sisters, Hana and Miko. Hana was restless and anxious, always worried about the future, her mind constantly churning with questions and fears. Miko was calm and centered, meeting each day with peaceful awareness. One night, when the full moon was bright, Hana woke Miko in distress. "Sister," she said, "I cannot sleep. My mind torments me with endless thoughts." Miko smiled and suggested they walk to the lake together. When they arrived, the lake was perfectly still, and the moon's reflection was clear and brilliant on the water, a perfect mirror image. "Look," Miko said, "see how clearly the moon is reflected." "Now, Hana, throw a stone into the water." Hana picked up a stone and tossed it into the lake. Ripples spread across the surface, and the moon's reflection shattered into 1,000 dancing fragments, beautiful but chaotic, impossible to see clearly. Hana watched as the ripples gradually settled, and slowly the moon's reflection became whole again, clear and luminous. Miko asked, "Was the moon ever broken?" Hana shook her head. "No, the moon remained unchanged in the sky. Only its reflection was disturbed." Miko nodded. "Your true nature is like that moon, constant and whole. Your thoughts and emotions are like the ripples. They disturb the surface of your mind, making it difficult to see clearly. But they do not change what you truly are. When you agitate yourself with worry and resistance, you create more ripples. When you allow the mind to settle naturally, without force, clarity returns. The moon was always there, perfect and unchanged. You are always here, perfect and unchanged. You need only allow the waters of your mind to become still." This teaching points to something essential about the relationship between mental agitation and clear seeing. When the mind is stirred up by worry, by planning, by regret, by constant thinking, it becomes impossible to perceive reality accurately. We see distortions, fragments, partial truths. We mistake the churning surface for the depths below. We believe our anxious thoughts are telling us the truth about our lives, when really they are just ripples, temporary disturbances that will settle if we let them. So much of our suffering comes from this agitation. We try to solve problems that do not exist. We see threats that are not real. We create entire storylines based on distorted reflections, and then we respond to these illusions as if they were reality, creating more agitation, more ripples, more confusion. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. The way out is not to fight the ripples, not to try to smooth the water by force. The way out is to stop throwing stones, to stop agitating, to allow the natural settling that happens when we simply cease interfering. But here is the subtle point that many miss. Allowing the mind to settle is not the same as suppressing thoughts or forcing calm. When you try to force your mind to be still, you create more disturbance, like trying to smooth water by slapping it with your hands. True stillness comes from non-interference, from stopping the habitual patterns of resistance and control. It comes from recognizing that thoughts are not problems to be solved. They are just weather passing through. When you stop feeding them attention, stop arguing with them, stop trying to fix them, they naturally lose momentum and settle. Let us practice this settling now, together. Imagine your mind is that lake under the full moon. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, any mental activity present right now. Do not judge these as good or bad. Simply see them as ripples on the surface, movements in consciousness. Now, instead of engaging with these thoughts, instead of following them or fighting them, just observe them with neutral awareness. Watch them the way you would watch ripples on water, with interest but without attachment. As you observe, bring your attention to your breath, letting it be your anchor. Each inhale, each exhale is like the gentle action of time itself, allowing ripples to gradually fade. You are not forcing anything to happen. You are simply being present, breathing, observing, allowing. Notice how some thoughts lose their intensity when you stop feeding them attention. Notice how new thoughts arise to replace them. This is natural. Do not be discouraged. Each time you notice you have been pulled into a thought, gently return to the breath, return to observation, return to the witness position. Dogen Zenji, the great Zen master, taught about this when he said, "To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 things." When you stop agitating the waters of your mind with constant self-concern, with endless thinking about me and my problems and my future and my past, the mind naturally clarifies. And in that clarity, you see things as they actually are, not as your anxious thoughts paint them. This clear seeing is enlightenment, and it is available right now, in this moment, when you allow stillness. As you rest here tonight, trust the natural settling of your mind. You do not need to make it happen. You only need to stop interfering. Each time you notice tension or trying, soften. Each time you notice effort or forcing, release. Imagine yourself lying at the bottom of that lake, looking up through clear water at the perfect moon. Ripples may disturb the surface, but down here in the depths, all is peaceful, all is still. You are the depths, not the surface. Rest in this knowing. The moon remains whole and perfect in the sky, regardless of how disturbed the water becomes. You remain whole and perfect in your essential nature, regardless of how agitated your thoughts become. Remember this. Return to this. Let the waters of your mind settle into their natural clarity, revealing the truth that has been here all along, the truth of your own luminous awareness, undisturbed, at peace. Deep in the mountains, in a cave far from any village, a monk named Awaken sat in meditation for many years. Seekers would occasionally make the long journey to visit him, hoping for teachings. One day, a philosopher arrived, a man who had studied every text on consciousness and the nature of mind. He asked Awaken, "Master, I have read everything. I understand all the theories. but I still do not know who I am. Can you tell me?" Hakuin was silent for a long time, then asked, "Who is it that wants to know?" The philosopher began to answer with concepts and ideas, but Hakuin raised his hand gently. "Not concepts, direct experience. Right now, in this moment, who is aware of your thoughts?" The philosopher paused. "I am aware of them." "Good," said Hakuin. "And who is aware of that awareness?" The philosopher's mind went blank. He could not find an answer. Hakuin smiled softly. "You have just touched the greatest mystery. There is an awareness that is always present, watching everything, including the sense of I, including awareness itself. This is what you truly are. Not the thoughts, not the feelings, not even the sense of self. You are the eternal witness, the consciousness that observes it all. This teaching points to the deepest layer of self-knowing, beyond thoughts, beyond emotions, beyond sensations, beyond even the sense of being a person. There is pure awareness itself. This awareness is not something you possess. It is what you are. It has no qualities, no characteristics, no boundaries. It is like space itself, invisible, intangible, yet containing everything. It was here before your first thought, and it will be here after your last. It is the one constant in a life of constant change. Most people never discover this witnessing awareness because they are so identified with the contents of consciousness. You think you are your thoughts, your memories, your personality, your body, your name, your story. But all of these are objects appearing in awareness. They come and go, they change and evolve, but the awareness that perceives them never changes. It is like a movie screen. The images on the screen are constantly changing, dramas and comedies and tragedies playing out. But the screen itself remains unchanged. You are the screen, not the movie. When you recognize yourself as this witnessing awareness, a profound freedom arises. You realize that nothing can truly harm you because you are not identified with anything that can be harmed. The body ages and eventually dies, but you are not the body. Thoughts arise and pass, but you are not the thoughts. Emotions come in waves, but you are not the emotions. You are the vast space in which all of this occurs, the awareness that remains pristine and untouched no matter what passes through it. But how do you recognize this witness? The key is to turn attention back on itself. Usually, awareness is focused outward, on objects, on thoughts, on sensations. But awareness can also become aware of itself. This is like the eye seeing itself in a mirror, or consciousness recognizing its own presence. It requires a subtle shift, a turning inward, a questioning. Not who am I as a person, but what is the awareness that is asking this question? What is the consciousness that is aware of this moment? Let us practice this now, this gentle investigation. Notice that you are aware right now. You are aware of these words, aware of your breath, aware of sensations in your body. Now ask yourself, what is aware? Try to locate the awareness itself. Where is it? Is it in your head, your chest, your body? Look carefully. You will find that you cannot locate it anywhere specific. It is everywhere and nowhere. It has no center, no boundary. It is like space, pervading everything. Now notice that this awareness is observing your thoughts. A thought arises, and there is an awareness that sees it. The thought is an object, and awareness is the subject. But then ask, who is aware of the awareness? Can awareness be aware of itself? And here you touch something extraordinary. The witness witnesses itself. Consciousness is conscious of consciousness. There is no separate observer. There is only observing, only awareness aware of its own presence. This is your true nature, not a thing, not an entity, but pure knowing itself. Ramana Maharshi, the great sage of India, taught a practice he called self-inquiry. He instructed students to constantly ask, "Who am I?" Not to answer with concepts, but to trace the sense of I back to its source. Who is it that says I? Who is the one who feels separate? Who is the thinker behind the thoughts? When you follow this inquiry deeply, you discover that the I you have been seeking is actually the one doing the seeking. The seeker and the sought are one. You are already what you are looking for. As you rest here, let go of trying to understand this intellectually. Simply rest as awareness itself. You do not need to become awareness. You already are awareness. You cannot not be awareness. Even when you forget, even when you are lost in thoughts or emotions, awareness is still here, witnessing it all. The practice is simply to recognize what has always been true, to remember what you have never actually forgotten, to see what has been seeing all along. Notice that this witnessing awareness requires no effort. It is effortless, natural, always present. It is like the sun always shining, even when clouds cover it. The clouds of thought and emotion may temporarily obscure your recognition of awareness, but they never diminish awareness itself. Right now, in this moment, you are aware. This is not something you achieved. It is something you are. Rest in this simple recognition. I am awareness. Not I have awareness, but I am awareness. This is the deepest truth of your being, the silent observer that watches all, touched by none, eternal and free. The web of stories. Identity and narrative self. In a small village, there lived a storyteller named Akiko, who was famous throughout the region. Every evening, people gathered to hear her tales of heroes and spirits, love and loss, triumph and tragedy. Akiko could weave words into worlds, and her listeners would become completely absorbed, forgetting themselves in the stories. One evening, after a particularly moving tale, a young listener asked, "Akiko, how do you create such powerful stories?" Akiko smiled and replied, "I do not create them. I simply recognize them. We are all living inside stories we tell ourselves, and most of us have forgotten they are just stories. We mistake them for reality." The young listener was puzzled. "What do you mean?" Akiko gestured around the room. "Each person here is living in a story about who they are. One tells himself he is a failure. Another tells herself she is unlovable. Another believes he is special and superior. These are not truths. They are narratives, stories constructed from selected memories, interpretations, and beliefs. And here is the deepest magic. We become the stories we tell about ourselves. The failure acts like a failure. The unlovable one pushes love away. The superior one isolates himself with arrogance. The story becomes the prison. But here is the key," Akiko continued, her voice soft and penetrating. "If you can recognize that you are living in a story, you can also recognize that you are not the story. You are the one who is aware of the story. You are the consciousness in which the story appears. And this changes everything. When you see the story as a story, it loses its power over you. You are free to rewrite it, or better yet, to step out of it entirely and simply be, without any narrative, without any need to be somebody special or somebody terrible. Just awareness, just presence, just this. This teaching goes to the heart of what Buddhism calls the illusion of self. The ego, the small self, the person you think you are, is essentially a story. It is a narrative constructed over years from memories, beliefs, cultural conditioning, wounds, and dreams. This story includes your name, your history, your preferences, your fears, your ambitions. It is the collection of all the statements that begin with, I am. I am shy. I am confident. I am damaged. I am healed. I am a teacher. I am a failure. These are all stories, all narratives, all constructions of the thinking mind. The problem is not that stories exist. Stories are natural, even useful. The problem is that we become completely identified with them. We forget that we are creating the story, and we start to believe the story is creating us. We think, this is who I really am, when actually it is just a habitual pattern of thinking, a well-worn groove in consciousness. And because we believe the story so deeply, we act it out, reinforcing it with every choice, every reaction, every interpretation of events. The story becomes self-fulfilling, and we become trapped in a character we never consciously chose to play. But you are not your story. You existed before the story began. You will exist after the story ends. The awareness reading these words right now, the consciousness that is present in this moment, that is prior to all stories, deeper than all narratives. That awareness has no story. It simply is. It does not need to be anybody or prove anything or defend any position. It is free, spacious, unlimited by any definition or description. So how do we break free from the tyranny of self-story? First, we must see the story clearly, recognize it as a story. This requires honest observation. What are the central narratives of your life? What are the core beliefs you hold about who you are? Take a moment now and ask yourself, what story am I living in? Is it a story of lack, of not being enough? Is it a story of victimhood, of being wronged by life? Is it a story of specialness, of being different and separate? Do not judge the story, simply see it. Acknowledge it with compassion. Let us practice releasing one story right now, just for a moment. Think of something you often say about yourself, an I am statement that feels very true and solid. Perhaps I am anxious, or I am not creative, or I am someone who struggles with relationships. Hold this statement gently in your mind. Now imagine setting it down, like placing a heavy bag on the ground. You are not denying your experiences. You are simply releasing the identity, the story that these experiences define you. Take a breath and ask, without this story, who am I? Rest in the openness that remains, the space where no story exists, the pure awareness that needs no definition. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches beautifully about this when he speaks of interset, the understanding that nothing has a separate independent self. You are not a fixed entity. You are a process, a flowing, a constant becoming and unbecoming, woven from countless conditions and influences. The stories you tell about yourself are based on an illusion of solidity, of permanent self, when actually you are more like a river, always flowing, always changing, never the same from moment to moment. The river does not need a story about being a river. It simply flows. As you rest here tonight, practice letting go of all stories about who you are. You are not good or bad. successful or unsuccessful, wounded or healed, enlightened or unenlightened. These are all just thoughts, just narratives, just ways the mind tries to pin down something that is fundamentally free and indefinable. Rest as the awareness that exists before any story begins. Rest as the space in which all stories appear and disappear. Here, you are unlimited. Here, you are free. Here, you are simply what you have always been. Awake, alive, aware, and that is more than enough. Let us rest here for a while, releasing all effort, all striving, all attempting to understand or achieve anything. You have been absorbing deep teachings, profound truths, and now it is time to simply be without any agenda whatsoever. Allow everything you have heard to settle like sediment in water, naturally finding its place without your interference. There is no test to pass, no level to reach, no state to attain. You are already complete in this moment, exactly as you are. Bring your awareness to your body, starting at the crown of your head. Feel the top of your skull, the temples, the area around your eyes. Soften your forehead, release any tension held there. Let your face become smooth and peaceful, your jaw loose, your lips slightly parted. Move your attention down through your neck, feeling the muscles soften, the throat open. Your shoulders drop heavily, releasing the weight of the day, the weight of all concerns. Feel them settling, heavy and at ease. Move slowly down your arms, feeling the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists. Notice your hands, wherever they rest, feeling the life force pulsing gently in your fingers, the warmth or coolness of your skin. Your hands are resting, doing nothing, and this is exactly right. Now bring awareness into your chest, feeling your heart beating steadily, reliably, without your conscious control. Feel your lungs expanding and contracting with each breath. Your body knows how to sustain you. Trust this ancient intelligence. Move your attention into your belly, feeling it soft and relaxed, rising and falling with breath. Release any holding or tightening here. This is where we often store anxiety and tension, so breathe into your belly with special tenderness, allowing it to be completely at ease. Feel your lower back, your hips, your pelvis, all releasing, all letting go. Notice your legs, heavy and still. Feel your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles. Move down into your feet, feeling them completely. The soles, the toes, every part of your feet resting fully. Now sense your entire body as one unified field of sensation and aliveness. You are not a collection of parts. You are a whole, a living, breathing presence. Feel yourself held by the earth, supported completely. You do not have to hold yourself up. You can surrender to gravity, to the ground beneath you. Let yourself sink even deeper, becoming heavier, more relaxed with each exhale. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to be. Simply rest in the embrace of this moment. Remember that observation of the mind is not a task that requires constant vigilance or exhausting effort. It is more like lying in a field watching clouds drift across the sky. You are not making the clouds move. You are not controlling their shapes or speed. You are simply present, simply witnessing. The same is true with thoughts and emotions. They arise on their own, move through on their own, disappear on their own. Your only role is to be present, to be aware, and this requires no more effort than existing itself. If you notice your mind trying to figure something out, trying to remember all the teachings, trying to do this practice correctly, Just smile at that impulse with gentleness. The mind wants to be useful, wants to contribute, and that is okay. But right now, the mind's job is simply to rest. You can say silently to your mind, "Thank you for trying to help, but right now we are just resting." Not thinking, not analyzing, not improving. Just being here, breathing, aware, at peace. Take 3 slow breaths now, breathing in through your nose, feeling the coolness, breathing out through your mouth, feeling the warmth. With each exhale, imagine releasing anything that no longer serves you. Old stories, old tensions, old ways of relating to yourself that create suffering. Let them go, not with force, but with gentle permission. They can leave if they are ready. And if they remain, that is also fine. You are not at war with anything. You are simply creating space, offering freedom, allowing natural release. Feel yourself exactly where you are right now. You are here, in this moment, in this body, breathing this breath. Everything is as it should be. You have traveled far on this journey of self-knowing tonight, touching deep truths, meeting parts of yourself with new awareness. And now you are simply here, resting, being, allowing. This too is practice. This too is wisdom. The ability to rest without agitation, to be present without agenda, to exist without needing to prove or accomplish or become anything other than what you already are. We will continue soon, exploring more of the inner landscape. But for now, just breathe, just feel, just be. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. Let yourself sink into this knowing, this trust, this simple presence. The journey continues when you are ready, but there is no rush, no hurry, no urgency. Rest as long as you need. Rest as deeply as you can. This moment is a gift, and you are worthy of receiving it fully. The monkey of the mind, understanding restlessness with compassion. In the forests of ancient China, there lived a meditation master named Yunmen, who often taught beneath a great tree. One day, a frustrated student approached him and said, "Master, my mind is like a wild monkey, jumping from branch to branch, never still, never at peace. I have tried everything to calm it, but nothing works. I am exhausted from the effort and ashamed of my failure." Yunmen looked up at the trees above them, where real monkeys were swinging through the branches, chattering and playing, full of energy and life. He asked the student, "Do those monkeys seem troubled by their nature?" The student watched the monkeys for a moment. "No, master, they seem perfectly content, perfectly themselves." "Exactly," said Yunmen. "They are not trying to be still trees. They are being monkeys, and in that, they are free." Your mind is also a mind, doing what minds do, producing thoughts, jumping from idea to idea, full of energy and movement. The suffering does not come from the mind's nature, it comes from your war against it. You want the monkey to be a mountain, but it is a monkey. When you accept this, when you stop fighting, the exhaustion ends. This teaching addresses one of the most common struggles on the path of self-knowing, the restless, wandering nature of the mind. People come to meditation and mindfulness expecting to find a peaceful, still mind, and when they discover instead a chaotic jumble of thoughts, they believe they are failing. But this expectation itself is the problem. The mind is designed to think. That is its function, its nature, its purpose. Asking the mind not to think is like asking the heart not to beat or the lungs not to breathe. It makes no sense. The untrained mind is particularly active, jumping from thought to thought, seeking stimulation, solving problems, planning future, reviewing past, commenting on present. This is sometimes called monkey mind in Buddhist teachings, and it is not a defect or disease. It is simply the natural state of a mind that has not been trained in observation and presence. The monkey is not your enemy. The monkey is just being a monkey. Your relationship with the monkey, that is where the work lies. Most of us have spent our entire lives either lost in the monkey's activities or fighting against them. We have never simply observed the monkey with compassion and curiosity. We have never said, "Ah yes, there you are, jumping around as usual." We have never watched with gentle amusement rather than frustrated resistance. But this shift in attitude, from fighting to befriending, from judging to understanding, changes everything. The monkey does not need to be tamed or conquered. It needs to be seen, acknowledged, and allowed to be what it is. Here is the paradox. When you stop trying to calm the mind, it begins to calm naturally. When you release the agenda of achieving stillness, stillness arises spontaneously. This is not because your effort was wrong, but because your effort was based on resistance, and resistance creates tension, and tension creates more agitation. It is like trying to fall asleep by commanding yourself to sleep. The trying prevents the happening. But when you simply lie down and allow yourself to be awake if you are awake, to be restless if you are restless without fighting it, eventually sleep comes on its own. Let us practice meeting the monkey mind with compassion right now. Notice the activity in your mind at this moment. Perhaps there are thoughts about what you need to do tomorrow. Perhaps there are judgments about how you are doing with this practice. Perhaps there are random memories or images or sounds. Whatever is there, notice it without criticism. Say silently, "This is what minds do. This is natural. This is not a problem." Feel the difference this makes. When you are not fighting the thoughts, they lose their charge. They become less compelling, less overwhelming. Now bring a quality of curiosity to your observation. Watch your thoughts the way a naturalist might watch animals in the wild, with interest and without interference. Notice how one thought leads to another. Notice the patterns, the themes, the flavors. Does your mind tend toward planning or reviewing? Does it judge or worry? Does it fantasize or problem solve? There is no right or wrong answer here. You are simply becoming familiar with your own mind's particular tendencies, its unique fingerprint of activity. This familiarity is valuable. It helps you recognize, this is just my mind doing its usual thing, rather than believing every thought is urgent truth. Ajahn Chah, the beloved Thai forest monk, taught about this with beautiful simplicity. He said, "Try to be mindful and let things take their natural course. Then your mind will become still in any surroundings, like a clear forest pool. All kinds of wonderful, rare animals will come to drink at the pool, and you will clearly see the nature of all things. You will see many strange and wonderful things come and go, but you will be still." This is the happiness of the Buddha. As you rest here, imagine your mind as that forest pool. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, all of these are the animals coming to drink. Some are beautiful, some are strange, some are frightening. But you are the still pool, simply receiving them all without preference, without resistance. The monkey comes to drink. The tiger comes to drink. The deer comes to drink. And the pool remains the pool, clear and still and welcoming. This is your true nature, the awareness that can hold all activity without being disturbed by it. Let go of the war with your mind. Make peace with the monkey. It has been with you your whole life, trying in its own way to protect you, to help you, to keep you safe. It does not know any other way to be. So thank it for its efforts, acknowledge its nature, and gently, again and again, return your attention to this moment, to this breath, to the stillness that exists beneath all activity. The monkey will continue to jump, but you do not have to jump with it. You can remain here, grounded, present, at peace with what is. The 3 gates. Awareness before action. In a mountain temple known for its wisdom, there stood 3 gates that every visitor had to pass through before entering the inner sanctuary. Above the first gate were carved the words, "Is it true?" Above the second gate, "Is it necessary?" Above the third gate, "Is it kind?" A young monk named Kenji lived at this temple and walked through these gates many times each day, but he never truly understood their meaning. He thought they were simply questions for speech, guidelines for right communication. One day, his teacher asked him, "Kenji, what do you think happens between the moment you feel an impulse and the moment you act on it?" Kenji had never considered this before. "I suppose I just act, master. There is no space between." His teacher smiled. "That is why you suffer. That is why everyone suffers. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom, your power to choose. The 3 gates are not just for words, they are for every impulse, every reaction, every habitual response. Before you speak, before you act, before you let a thought become a deed, you can pause at the gates and ask, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? This teaching reveals something profound about the nature of consciousness and choice. Most people live in a state of automatic reaction. Something happens and they respond instantly, driven by habit, conditioning, emotion, without any conscious awareness of the choice being made. Someone criticizes them and anger flares immediately. They feel anxious and they reach for a distraction immediately. A craving arises and they act on it immediately. There is no pause, no space, no opportunity for wisdom to enter. But you are not a machine programmed to react in fixed ways. You are a conscious being with the capacity to observe impulses before acting on them. This observation creates a sacred gap, a moment of freedom where you can choose differently. The Buddha taught that between every stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This is one of the most liberating truths you can realize. You are not your impulses. You are the awareness that can witness impulses arising and choose whether or not to follow them. The first gate asks, is it true? So many of our reactions are based on stories, interpretations, assumptions that are not actually true. You feel rejected and assume someone dislikes you when perhaps they are simply distracted by their own concerns. You feel anxious about the future and believe something terrible will happen when actually you have no evidence, only fear. Before reacting, pause and ask, is what I am believing in this moment actually true? Is it a fact or an interpretation? This simple question can stop so much unnecessary suffering. The second gate asks, is it necessary? Even if something is true, does it need to be said or done? Will speaking this truth or taking this action serve anyone? Or is it just the ego wanting to be right, wanting to defend? wanting to assert. So many words spoken and actions taken are completely unnecessary, driven by compulsion rather than wisdom. When you pause and ask if something is necessary, you often find that silence or restraint is the wiser choice. You conserve your energy for what truly matters. The third gate asks, is it kind? This is perhaps the most important gate of all. Even if something is true and necessary, can it be delivered with kindness? Can your response, your action, your words carry compassion? Kindness does not mean weakness or avoidance of difficult truths. It means considering the impact of your actions on others and yourself, choosing the path that causes least harm, that opens rather than closes, that heals rather than wounds. Let us practice working with these three gates right now. Bring to mind a recent moment when you reacted strongly to something, perhaps with anger or defensiveness or anxiety. Replay that moment in your memory, but this time, imagine pausing before you reacted. Imagine standing before the three gates. First gate. Was your interpretation of the situation absolutely true? Could there have been other explanations, other perspectives? Second gate. Was your reaction necessary? Did it improve the situation or simply discharge your discomfort? Third gate. Was your reaction kind to yourself and to others involved? Notice what happens when you bring this level of awareness to past reactions. You might feel some regret, and that is natural, but do not dwell in self-judgment. The purpose of this practice is not to make you feel bad about the past. It is to train you to recognize the space of choice in the present and future. Each time you practice pausing, questioning, choosing consciously, you are rewiring your brain, creating new pathways, moving from automatic reaction to conscious response. This is the work of awakening. The Buddha himself taught about being a guardian of your own gates. He said, "The wise ones fashion speech with their thought, sifting it as grain is sifted through a sieve." You are the gatekeeper of your own mind, your own speech, your own actions. Nothing enters or leaves without passing through your awareness if you are present. And when you are present, when you pause at the gates and ask the questions, you discover a power you may have forgotten you had. The power to choose, the power to respond rather than react, the power to act from wisdom rather than compulsion. As you rest here tonight, set an intention to practice this in your life. When you feel a strong impulse arising, a desire to speak harshly, or to defend, or to escape, or to indulge, pause. Take one breath. In that breath, remember the three gates. Ask the questions, and then choose. Sometimes you will still speak the harsh word or take the unskillful action, and that is part of being human. But increasingly, you will find yourself choosing differently, acting from a deeper place, responding with wisdom and compassion. This is how transformation happens, not through dramatic revelation, but through small choices made again and again in the space between stimulus and response. The immovable mountain. Equanimity and steady presence. High in the Himalayas, there stood a sacred mountain that had witnessed countless seasons, storms, and changes over millions of years. At its base lived an old hermit named Dorje, who spent his days in meditation, watching the mountain. Travelers would sometimes stop and ask him, "What have you learned from sitting here all these years?" Dorje would point to the mountain and say, "I have learned to be like that." The travelers would look confused. "The mountain does nothing," they would say. "Exactly," Dorje would reply. "The mountain does nothing, yet it accomplishes everything. It remains itself through all conditions. One day, a violent storm came. Thunder shook the valley, lightning split the sky, rain fell in torrents, and wind bent the trees nearly to breaking. The travelers huddled in fear, but Dorja sat peacefully, watching. When the storm passed and the travelers emerged, they asked, "Were you not afraid?" Dorja smiled. The storm raged all around the mountain, but the mountain was not disturbed. Rain fell on it, wind struck it, but the mountain remained the mountain. I practice being like the mountain. My thoughts and emotions are the weather, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. But I am not the weather. I am the mountain. This teaching points to one of the most important qualities cultivated in Zen practice: equanimity. Equanimity is not indifference or coldness. It is not about not caring or becoming emotionally dead. Rather, it is about developing a steady, balanced presence that can hold all experiences without being overwhelmed or knocked off center. It is about becoming like the mountain, stable and grounded, while the weather of life moves through and around you. Most people are completely at the mercy of conditions. When things go well, they are happy. When things go badly, they suffer. When someone praises them, they feel elevated. When someone criticizes them, they feel diminished. Their sense of well-being rises and falls with every changing circumstance, like a small boat tossed on rough seas. This is exhausting and ultimately unsustainable. But there is another way, the way of the mountain, the way of equanimity. Equanimity does not mean you stop feeling emotions or caring about outcomes. The mountain feels the rain, the snow, the sun. But the mountain is not defined by these experiences. The mountain remains itself. Similarly, you can feel joy and sadness, pleasure and pain, success and failure, but you do not have to be defined by them. You can experience them as weather patterns moving through the vast space of your awareness, touching you, but not changing your essential nature. This quality of steadiness comes from understanding impermanence at a deep level. When you truly see that all experiences are temporary, that all conditions change, you stop grasping so tightly to the pleasant and resisting so fiercely the unpleasant. You develop what the Buddha called upekkha, equanimity, the ability to meet all of life with an even, balanced mind. Not detached, but not entangled. Not cold, but not consumed. Present and caring, yet not dependent on any particular outcome for your peace. Let us practice mountain meditation now, a powerful way to embody this teaching. Sit or lie as you are, and imagine yourself as a mountain. Feel your base, your foundation, solid and unmovable. Your spine is the central peak, strong and upright. Your shoulders are the ridges extending to either side. Your head is the summit, reaching toward the sky. Feel the weight and solidity of your mountain body, rooted deep in the earth, stable and present. Now imagine the weather beginning to change around your mountain. Morning comes, the sun rises, light touches your peaks. It is pleasant, warming. But you are not the sunlight. You are the mountain, simply receiving. Afternoon arrives, clouds gather, rain begins to fall on your slopes. It is wet, perhaps cool. But you are not the rain. You are the mountain, simply receiving. Evening comes, the wind picks up, strong gusts blow across your face. But you are not the wind. You are the mountain, simply receiving. Night falls, darkness surrounds you, snow begins to accumulate. But you are not the snow, you are the mountain, simply receiving. Feel how the mountain does not resist any condition, yet is not changed by any condition. The weather comes and goes, seasons cycle through, years pass, but the mountain remains the mountain. This is equanimity. This is your true nature when you are not caught up in the drama of passing experience. You are the stable presence, the unchanging awareness, the ground of being that witnesses all without being diminished or defined by any of it. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi taught about this when he said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. When your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It is open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there is no thought, 'I have attained something.' All self-centered thoughts limit our vast mind. When we have no thought of achievement, no thought of self, we are true beginners. This is the mind of the mountain, vast, open, ready, unchanging in its essential nature. As you rest here, allow yourself to be the mountain more and more. When a thought arises, acknowledge it as weather passing through. When an emotion surfaces, notice it as a season visiting. When sensations come and go in your body, recognize them as the play of elements across your slopes. But you remain. You, the awareness, the mountain, the steady presence. Nothing that comes can shake your foundation. Nothing that goes can diminish your essence. You simply are, and this is enough. Practice taking this mountain quality into your life. When praise comes, be the mountain. When criticism arrives, be the mountain. When success manifests, be the mountain. When failure visits, be the mountain. Not unmoved, but not dependent. Not uncaring, but not attached. Present, aware, steady, grounded in your own true nature. This is the freedom that equanimity brings, the liberation of knowing yourself as the unchanging witness of all that changes. The mirror and the images, receiving without retaining. In a monastery courtyard, there hung an ancient bronze mirror, polished to perfect clarity. A young nun named May would often sit before it, contemplating her reflection. One day her teacher found her there and asked, "What do you see?" May replied, "I see myself, Master." The teacher nodded. "Look more carefully. What does the mirror see?" May looked again, puzzled. "The mirror sees my face, my form." The teacher smiled gently. "Does the mirror hold on to your image after you walk away? Does it keep a memory of all the faces it has reflected over the centuries?" May understood suddenly. "No, Master. The mirror reflects what is before it, but when that thing moves away, the reflection disappears. The mirror remains empty, ready to reflect whatever comes next." "Exactly," said the teacher. "The mirror does not cling to beautiful images or reject ugly ones. It does not say, 'I prefer that face to this one.' It simply receives, reflects, and releases. This is the nature of true consciousness, of awakened awareness. It experiences everything fully, but holds on to nothing. This is freedom. This teaching addresses one of the deepest sources of human suffering, attachment. We cling to pleasant experiences, wanting them to last forever. We grasp at relationships, possessions, achievements, states of mind, trying to make permanent what is inherently temporary. And in this grasping, we create tension, anxiety, and ultimately disappointment, because nothing in this world of form can be held forever. Everything that arises must eventually pass away. This is not pessimism. This is simply the nature of reality, what the Buddha called anicca, impermanence. But we can learn from the mirror. We can experience life fully, deeply, intimately, without the desperate need to possess or preserve our experiences. We can love without clinging. We can enjoy beauty without grasping. We can appreciate success without defining ourselves by it. We can feel emotions without becoming them. This is the art of receiving without retaining, of being fully present with what is while remaining unattached to it, staying. Think about the mirror for a moment. It does not refuse to reflect something because it is ugly or painful. It does not try to hold on to something because it is beautiful or pleasant. It simply does what mirrors do. It reflects clearly whatever is present and then lets it go when it passes. There is no suffering in this. The mirror is not damaged by reflecting a terrible image. It is not diminished when a beautiful image leaves. It remains what it is, clear and empty, ready for the next moment. Your consciousness is designed to function the same way. You can experience the full range of human emotion and sensation without any of it sticking, without any of it defining you, without any of it becoming a problem. The problem is not in the experiencing, it is in the holding, in the attempt to freeze what is naturally flowing, to grasp what is meant to pass through. When you learn to be like the mirror, you discover a profound ease. You are still fully alive, fully feeling, but you are no longer creating suffering through attachment. Let us practice mirror consciousness now. Bring your attention to this present moment and notice what is here. Perhaps there is a sensation of comfort or discomfort in your body. Perhaps there is a thought about something that happened today or something coming tomorrow. Perhaps there is an emotion, subtle or strong. Whatever is present, simply receive it the way a mirror receives an image. Do not judge it. Do not try to change it. Do not grasp at it or push it away. Simply let it be reflected in your awareness, clearly and completely. Now notice that you are not trying to hold this experience in place. You are not saying, "I want this sensation to stay forever," or "I need this thought to go away now." You are simply here, present, aware, allowing whatever is to be exactly as it is. And notice that experiences naturally arise and pass on their own. The sensation shifts, the thought fades, the emotion moves. And you, the awareness, the mirror, remain unchanged, ready to receive the next moment with the same clarity and openness. This is one of the most liberating practices in all of Buddhism, learning to hold life lightly, to love deeply without clinging, to be fully engaged without attachment to outcomes. Huineng, the sixth patriarch, expressed this perfectly when he said, "When you are deluded and full of doubt, even 1,000 books of scripture are not enough. When you have realized understanding, even one word is too much." The mirror does not need scriptures, does not need teachings. It simply is what it is. And in that simplicity, it functions perfectly. As you practice this mirror awareness, you might notice a fear arising. The mind might say, "If I do not hold on to things, I will lose everything. If I do not attach, I will not really live." But this is the ego's voice, afraid of its own dissolution. The truth is exactly opposite. When you hold things lightly, you can actually experience them more fully. When you are not desperate to make a moment last, you can be completely present with it. When you are not clinging to a person, you can love them more freely. The mirror's emptiness is not poverty. It is the richness of infinite capacity. Think of a time when you were in a beautiful place, perhaps in nature, and you felt compelled to take a photograph. What happened to your experience in that moment? Often the act of trying to capture and preserve actually diminished your presence. You were no longer fully there, fully seeing, fully feeling. You were already thinking about later, about showing others, about holding on to it. But the mirror does not photograph. The mirror simply sees, fully and completely, and then lets the image pass. And because of this, nothing is lost. The seeing was total. The experience was complete. As you rest here tonight, practice being the mirror. Whatever arises in your awareness, receive it fully, reflect it clearly, and let it pass without resistance. Thoughts will come and go. Emotions will rise and fall. Sensations will appear and disappear. And through it all, you remain clear and empty and ready, unchanged by what passes through you. This is your true nature. This is the freedom that comes from non-attachment. Not cold, not distant, but intimate and open, touching everything, holding nothing, at peace with the flowing nature of existence itself. Let us pause here in our journey and turn toward ourselves with tenderness and compassion. You have been walking a path of deep self-inquiry, looking honestly at the nature of your own mind, confronting patterns and habits, questioning identities and stories. This is brave work. This is sacred work. And it deserves to be met with kindness, with appreciation, with love. So now, let us practice the ancient meditation of metta, of loving kindness, beginning with yourself. Place your hand on your heart if that feels comfortable, or simply rest your hands wherever they naturally fall. Feel the warmth of your own touch, or simply feel your heartbeat, steady and faithful, beating without your conscious effort since before you were born. This heart has carried you through every moment of your life, through joy and sorrow, through triumph and struggle. It has never abandoned you. It deserves your gratitude, your tenderness. Say these words silently to yourself, feeling them as you speak them in your mind. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I live with ease. Let these words sink in, not as empty phrases, but as genuine wishes for your own well-being. You are worthy of these blessings. You are worthy of your own compassion. There is nothing you need to achieve or become to deserve kindness from yourself. You are enough, exactly as you are in this moment. Notice if there is any resistance to receiving this kindness. Often we find it easier to be compassionate toward others than toward ourselves. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, judge our failures harshly, compare ourselves unfavorably. But this cruelty toward ourselves does not serve anyone. It does not make you better or stronger. It only creates more suffering. So if you notice resistance, just acknowledge it gently. Say to yourself, it is okay to be kind to myself. I am learning. I am doing my best. Bring to mind your own struggles, the ways you are hard on yourself, the inner critic that speaks so harshly. Imagine that voice, that part of you, as a frightened child trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. It thinks that by being harsh, by being demanding, it is keeping you safe, keeping you on track. But it does not need to work so hard. You can thank it for trying to protect you, and then gently tell it that you are safe, that you can be kind to yourself and still grow, still learn, still move forward. Say to yourself again, may I forgive myself for not knowing what I did not know before I learned it. May I be patient with my process. May I trust my unfolding. May I remember that I am human, beautifully, perfectly human, allowed to make mistakes, allowed to stumble, allowed to not have all the answers. This is not weakness. This is the truth of being alive. And in this truth, there is great freedom. Now expand this circle of compassion beyond yourself. Think of someone you love deeply, someone who naturally brings a smile to your heart. Imagine them before you and offer them these same blessings. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with ease. Feel the warmth of these wishes flowing from your heart to theirs. This is the natural movement of love, wanting goodness for those we care about. Now think of someone neutral, someone you neither love nor dislike, perhaps someone you see regularly but do not know well. A shopkeeper, a neighbor, someone who crosses your path without much notice. Recognize that they too have a heart that beats, that they too carry struggles and hopes, that they too are worthy of kindness. Offer them the same blessing. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with ease. If you feel ready, you can even extend this compassion towards someone with whom you have difficulty, someone who has hurt you or whom you find challenging. This is advanced practice, and it is okay if you are not ready. But if you are, recognize that this person too is suffering in their own way, that their difficult behavior comes from their own pain and confusion. You do not have to condone their actions to wish them freedom from suffering. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you find your way to healing and wholeness. Finally, expand your awareness to include all beings everywhere, all humans in all countries, all creatures in all habitats, all consciousness in all forms. Imagine this whole living planet, this miracle of existence, and offer a blessing to all. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings live with ease. Feel yourself as part of this vast web of life, connected to everything, held by everything, belonging to everything. Rest in this feeling of connection, of universal loving kindness. You are not separate. You are not alone. You are part of something infinitely larger than yourself, and yet you are also infinitely precious, unique, irreplaceable. Both things are true. You matter completely, and you are held in a web of interdependence that has no beginning and no end. This is the mystery and the beauty of existence. Take a deep breath and bring your awareness back to your own body, your own heart, your own presence. Thank yourself for this practice, for this willingness to open your heart, to cultivate compassion, to meet yourself and all beings with kindness. This is powerful medicine. This is how we heal, not just ourselves, but the world. One moment of kindness at a time, one breath of compassion at a time, one gentle thought at a time. As we continue our journey together, carry this loving kindness with you. When the teachings challenge you, meet yourself with compassion. When you notice a difficult pattern, meet it with curiosity and kindness rather than judgment. You are not here to punish yourself into enlightenment. You are here to love yourself into wholeness. Remember this. Return to this. Let kindness be the ground from which all growth emerges, the gradual awakening. Trust in invisible transformation. In a village surrounded by bamboo forests, there lived a farmer named Chen who was known for his patience. A young seeker once came to him and asked, I have heard that bamboo takes 5 years to grow. Is this true? Chen smiled and said, "Come, let me show you." He led the young man to a clearing where he had planted bamboo seeds 5 years earlier. "All I see is bare ground," said the seeker. "Exactly," replied Chen. "For 5 years, nothing appears above the earth. Nothing at all. It looks as if nothing is happening. But beneath the ground, an entire root system is developing, spreading wide and deep, preparing for what comes next." Then, in the 6th year, something miraculous happens. The bamboo shoots up, sometimes growing 3 feet in a single day, reaching heights of 90 feet in just 6 weeks. People who see this say, "Look how fast the bamboo grows." But Chen knew the truth. The bamboo does not grow in 6 weeks. It grows in 5 years of invisible preparation, followed by 6 weeks of visible manifestation. The real growth happened in darkness, in silence, in the patience of roots spreading where no eye could see. This is how true transformation works. The seeker was moved by this teaching. He asked, "Master Chen, how do I know if I am growing during my own invisible years? How do I trust that something is happening when I see no evidence of change?" Chen placed his hand on the earth. The bamboo does not worry about whether it is growing. It does not check its progress every day or compare itself to other plants. It simply does what bamboo does, drawing nutrients, extending roots, following its nature. Trust your process the way bamboo trusts its process. You are growing even when you cannot see it. This teaching speaks directly to one of the most common frustrations on the path of self-knowing. The feeling that nothing is happening, that all this observation and meditation and practice is not working, that you are still the same person with the same problems. But this is like judging the bamboo on the 3rd year, seeing bare ground and concluding that planting was pointless. You cannot see the transformation happening beneath the surface, but that does not mean transformation is not occurring. Every moment of awareness, every time you observe a thought without getting lost in it, every time you pause before reacting, every time you meet yourself with compassion instead of judgment, you are laying down roots. You are creating new neural pathways in your brain. You are weakening old conditioning and strengthening new capacities. This work is invisible, but it is real. It is happening right now, even as you rest here, even as you listen to these words, even as you practice the simple act of being present. The Buddha himself taught that enlightenment is not a sudden event that happens to a lucky few. For most people, it is a gradual awakening, a slow dawn rather than a lightning strike. He compared it to the ocean floor sloping gradually toward the depths, not dropping off suddenly. You do not leap from suffering to freedom in one dramatic moment. You walk, step by step, breath by breath, becoming slightly more aware, slightly more free, slightly more at peace. And one day, you look back and realize how far you have traveled, how much has changed, how different you are from who you were. But the mind wants instant results. The ego wants to achieve enlightenment like collecting a trophy. It wants to say, "I am enlightened now. I have arrived. I am done." This is not how it works. Awakening is not a destination. It is a direction. It is not a state you achieve once and keep forever. It is a process you engage with continuously. Every moment offers another opportunity to wake up, to see clearly, to choose wisely. You never arrive. You are always arriving, always becoming, always unfolding. Let us practice trusting the invisible growth right now. Think back to a year ago, or even further if you like. How are you relating to your mind then? How are you meeting difficult emotions? How much awareness did you have of your patterns and conditioning? Now notice this present moment. Can you see any shifts, even subtle ones? Perhaps you notice thoughts more quickly now. Perhaps you pause slightly more often before reacting. Perhaps you are a bit kinder to yourself. These may seem like small changes, but they are the bamboo roots spreading, preparing for the growth that will eventually become visible. Even if you cannot see any change, trust that it is happening. Trust that every moment of practice matters, even when you feel like you are failing at practice. There is no such thing as a wasted meditation. Every time you sit, every time you return your attention to the present, every time you observe without judging, you are transforming. The work is being done even when you cannot see it, especially when you cannot see it. Jack Kornfield, a beloved Western Buddhist teacher, tells a story about a student who complained to his teacher that after years of practice, he still got angry. The teacher asked, "And when you get angry now, how long does it last?" The student thought for a moment and said, "Maybe an hour, sometimes less." The teacher smiled. "When you started practice, how long did your anger last?" The student realized, days, sometimes weeks. "You see," said the teacher, "you are making progress. You just have not been measuring correctly. This is the wisdom we need to cultivate, the ability to see growth where the mind says there is none, to trust the process when evidence is invisible, to continue practicing not because we are getting results, but because the practice itself is the transformation. You are not practicing to become someone else. You are practicing to remember who you have always been beneath the conditioning, beneath the stories, beneath the forgetting. And this remembering happens gradually, gently, in its own time. As you rest here, release any need for dramatic transformation. Release any timeline or expectation about when you should be different or better or more awakened. You are exactly where you need to be. The roots are spreading. The foundation is being built. And one day, perhaps when you least expect it, you will notice a shoot emerging, a visible sign of all the invisible work. But even if that day never comes in the way you imagine, know that every moment of presence, every breath of awareness is complete in itself. The bamboo is growing. Trust this. You are growing. Trust this. All is unfolding exactly as it should. The gradual awakening. Trust in invisible transformation. In a village surrounded by bamboo forests, there lived a farmer named Chen, who was known for his patience. A young seeker once came to him and asked, "I have heard that bamboo takes 5 years to grow. Is this true?" Chen smiled and said, "Come, let me show you." He led the young man to a clearing where he had planted bamboo seeds 5 years earlier. "All I see is bare ground," said the seeker. "Exactly," replied Chen. "For 5 years, nothing appears above the earth. Nothing at all. It looks as if nothing is happening. But beneath the ground, an entire root system is developing, spreading wide and deep, preparing for what comes next. Then, in the 6th year, something miraculous happens. The bamboo shoots up, sometimes growing 3 feet in a single day, reaching heights of 90 feet in just 6 weeks. People who see this say, 'Look how fast the bamboo grows.' But Chen knew the truth. The bamboo does not grow in 6 weeks. It grows in 5 years of invisible preparation, followed by 6 weeks of visible manifestation. The real growth happened in darkness, in silence, in the patience of roots spreading where no eye could see. This is how true transformation works. The seeker was moved by this teaching. He asked, "Master Chen, how do I know if I am growing during my own invisible years? How do I trust that something is happening when I see no evidence of change?" Chen placed his hand on the earth. The bamboo does not worry about whether it is growing. It does not check its progress every day or compare itself to other plants. It simply does what bamboo does, drawing nutrients, extending roots, following its nature. Trust your process the way bamboo trusts its process. You are growing even when you cannot see it. This teaching speaks directly to one of the most common frustrations on the path of self-knowing. The feeling that nothing is happening, that all this observation and meditation and practice is not working, that you are still the same person with the same problems. But this is like judging the bamboo on the third year, seeing bare ground and concluding that planting was pointless. You cannot see the transformation happening beneath the surface, but that does not mean transformation is not occurring. Every moment of awareness, every time you observe a thought without getting lost in it, every time you pause before reacting, every time you meet yourself with compassion instead of judgment, you are laying down roots. You are creating new neural pathways in your brain. You are weakening old conditioning and strengthening new capacities. This work is invisible, but it is real. It is happening right now, even as you rest here, even as you listen to these words, even as you practice the simple act of being present. The Buddha himself taught that enlightenment is not a sudden event that happens to a lucky few. For most people, it is a gradual awakening, a slow dawn rather than a lightning strike. He compared it to the ocean floor sloping gradually toward the depths, not dropping off suddenly. You do not leap from suffering to freedom in one dramatic moment. You walk, step by step, breath by breath, becoming slightly more aware, slightly more free, slightly more at peace. And one day, you look back and realize how far you have traveled, how much has changed, how different you are from who you were. But the mind wants instant results. The ego wants to achieve enlightenment like collecting a trophy. It wants to say, "I am enlightened now. I have arrived. I am done." This is not how it works. Awakening is not a destination, it is a direction. It is not a state you achieve once and keep forever. It is a process you engage with continuously. Every moment offers another opportunity to wake up, to see clearly, to choose wisely. You never arrive. You are always arriving, always becoming, always unfolding. Let us practice trusting the invisible growth right now. Think back to a year ago, or even further if you like. How were you relating to your mind then? How were you meeting difficult emotions? How much awareness did you have of your patterns and conditioning? Now notice this present moment. Can you see any shifts, even subtle ones? Perhaps you notice thoughts more quickly now. Perhaps you pause slightly more often before reacting. Perhaps you are a bit kinder to yourself. These may seem like small changes, but they are the bamboo roots spreading, preparing for the growth that will eventually become visible. Even if you cannot see any change, trust that it is happening. Trust that every moment of practice matters, even when you feel like you are failing at practice. There is no such thing as a wasted meditation. Every time you sit, every time you return your attention to the present, every time you observe without judging, you are transforming. The work is being done even when you cannot see it, especially when you cannot see it. Jack Kornfield, a beloved Western Buddhist teacher, tells a story about a student who complained to his teacher that after years of practice, he still got angry. The teacher asked, "And when you get angry now, how long does it last?" The student thought for a moment and said, "Maybe an hour, sometimes less." The teacher smiled. "When you started practice, how long did your anger last?" The student realized, days, sometimes weeks. "You see," said the teacher, "you are making progress. You just have not been measuring correctly." This is the wisdom we need to cultivate. The ability to see growth where the mind says there is none. To trust the process when evidence is invisible. To continue practicing, not because we are getting results, but because the practice itself is the transformation. You are not practicing to become someone else. You are practicing to remember who you have always been beneath the conditioning, beneath the stories, beneath the forgetting. And this remembering happens gradually, gently, in its own time. As you rest here, release any need for dramatic transformation. Release any timeline or expectation about when you should be different or better or more awakened. You are exactly where you need to be. The roots are spreading. The foundation is being built, and one day, perhaps when you least expect it, you will notice a shoot emerging, a visible sign of all the invisible work. But even if that day never comes in the way you imagine, know that every moment of presence, every breath of awareness, is complete in itself. The bamboo is growing. Trust this. You are growing. Trust this. All is unfolding exactly as it should. The source of wisdom. The well within. In ancient times, there was a village suffering from terrible drought. The wells had run dry, the rivers had become trickles, and people were desperate for water. A wise woman named Sato lived on the edge of the village, and people noticed that she always had water, clear and fresh. They came to her and demanded to know her secret. "Where do you get this water? Is there a hidden spring? Do you have magic?" Sato smiled and said, "I will show you, but you must be willing to dig." She led them to her courtyard, where there was a deep well, and she explained, "This well has always been here, beneath your feet. But it is deep, very deep. Most people dig a little, find no water immediately, and give up. I have been digging this well my entire life, going deeper and deeper. The water was always there. I simply had to reach it." The villagers were frustrated. "But we need water now," they said. "We cannot wait years to dig." Sato nodded with compassion. "Then you will remain thirsty, seeking water in other places, never finding lasting satisfaction. Or you can begin digging today. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it requires effort. But once you reach the source, it never runs dry. This well provides water not just for me, but for anyone who comes. The source within is infinite, but you must do the work of uncovering it. No one can do this for you." This parable speaks to a profound truth about the spiritual path. Everything you are seeking is already within you. The peace you long for, the wisdom you search for, the freedom you crave. It is not somewhere out there waiting to be found. It is here, inside, buried beneath layers of conditioning, beneath years of forgetting, beneath the noise of a mind that has been trained to look everywhere except inward. You are the well. The infinite source is your own true nature. But we have been conditioned to seek externally. We look for happiness in achievements, in relationships, in possessions, in experiences. We read books and attend workshops and listen to teachers, hoping someone will give us the answer, the key, the secret that will finally make us whole. And while teachings and teachers can point the way, they cannot do the digging for you. They cannot give you water from your own well. you must go deep within yourself. You must do the work of excavation, removing the layers, going beneath the surface chatter, beneath the habitual patterns, into the depths where truth resides. The Buddha discovered this truth through his own experience. Before his enlightenment, he studied with the greatest teachers of his time. He practiced extreme asceticism, denying the body, pushing himself to the edge of death. He tried everything the external world offered, and none of it brought lasting peace. Finally, he sat beneath the Bodhi tree and turned his attention completely inward. He stopped seeking and started looking. And there, in the depths of his own consciousness, he found what he had been searching for all along, the source of wisdom, the wellspring of peace, the truth of his own nature. He later taught that each person must be a light unto themselves. He said, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." This is not about isolation or rejecting guidance. It is about taking responsibility for your own awakening, recognizing that the answers you seek cannot be handed to you. They must be discovered within you. The teacher can point to the well, but you must dig. The teaching can describe water, but you must taste it yourself to know. So how do we access this inner source of wisdom? We have been practicing this throughout our entire journey tonight, through observation, through presence, through honest inquiry, through compassion, through all the ways we have been exploring together. Each practice is a tool for digging, for going deeper, for moving past the surface mind into the quiet depths where wisdom lives. And the deepest practice of all is learning to listen to your own inner knowing, to trust the quiet voice beneath the noise. Let us practice accessing this inner wisdom now. Bring your attention to your heart center, the area in the middle of your chest. Breathe into this space, imagining it opening, softening, expanding. This is the seat of intuitive wisdom, the place where knowing lives before it becomes words. Ask yourself a question, something you genuinely want guidance about. It does not need to be profound, just real. Ask the question silently, and then wait. Do not rush to answer with your thinking mind. Simply wait, listening to the silence within. In that silence, something may arise. It might be a feeling, a sense, an image, a knowing that has no words. It might be subtle, barely perceptible, or it might be nothing at all right now, and that is fine too. The practice is not about getting answers on demand. The practice is about learning to ask inwardly and to listen, creating space for wisdom to emerge in its own time. The more you practice this, the more you develop trust in your inner guidance, the more you recognize that you have access to a source of knowing that is deeper and truer than your conditioned mind. The Buddha said, "There is a path to the end of suffering, and I have taught you the way." But you must do the work. You must walk the path. You must find the source within yourself. This is not harsh or demanding, it is simply true. No one can meditate for you. No one can be present for you. No one can awaken for you. This is your journey, your well, your water. And the beautiful truth is that you have everything you need to make this journey. The capacity for awareness is already yours. The source of wisdom is already present. You are not broken or incomplete. You are the well, deep and full, waiting to be discovered. As you rest here, feel into this truth. You are not empty in the sense of lacking something. You are empty in the sense of being spacious, open, receptive, like a well that can hold infinite water. Everything you have been learning tonight, every practice, every story, every teaching, these are just ways of pointing you back to yourself, back to the source, back to the wisdom that has been here all along, waiting patiently beneath the surface noise, ready to quench every thirst, ready to satisfy every longing, ready to reveal the truth you have always been. The return to the simple, coming full circle to what was always here. There once lived a Zen master named Ikkyu, who was famous throughout Japan for his wisdom and unconventional ways. After decades of intense practice, deep study, and profound realization, he was asked by a student, "Master, after all these years of seeking enlightenment, what have you found?" Ikkyu paused, then smiled. He said, "I have discovered that before I studied Zen, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. When I began to study Zen, mountains were no longer mountains and rivers were no longer rivers. But now that I understand Zen, mountains are once again mountains and rivers are once again rivers." The student was confused. If you ended up where you started, what was the point of the journey? Ikkyu laughed gently. "I did not end where I started. I returned to where I started, but I am not the same person who began. At first, I saw mountains simply, without question, like a child. Then, through practice, I began to see the emptiness of all things, the impermanence, the lack of inherent existence. Everything became complex, philosophical, analyzed. But now, after all this time, I see mountains simply again. Not with ignorance, but with wisdom. Not with blindness, but with clarity. The mountain is just a mountain, and this is profound." This teaching reveals something essential about the journey of self-knowledge. It is circular. You begin in simplicity, often the simplicity of not knowing, of living unconsciously, of taking everything at face value. Then you enter complexity. You analyze, you question, you deconstruct, you see through illusions. Your mind becomes sophisticated, your understanding nuanced. This is necessary, this is valuable, but it is not the end. The end is returning to simplicity, but now it is conscious simplicity, aware simplicity, the simplicity that comes from having traveled through complexity and emerged on the other side. You have journeyed far tonight, exploring the nature of mind, witnessing thoughts, understanding emotions, recognizing patterns, questioning identity, cultivating compassion. Your awareness has become more refined, more subtle, more spacious. But now, as we near the completion of this journey, it is time to let go of all sophistication, all technique, all effort. It is time to return to what was here before any of this began. Simple being, simple presence, simple awareness. Nothing more is needed. Nothing more has ever been needed. Lao Tzu taught this beautifully when he said, "In pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped." Less and less is done until non-action is achieved. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. This is the paradox of the spiritual path. You practice and practice, adding techniques and understanding, until finally you can drop it all and simply be. The practices were not the point. They were the vehicle that brought you here, to this moment of recognizing that you need nothing, that you are already complete. Think about when you were a child, before you learned all the complicated ways of thinking about yourself and the world. There were moments of pure presence, were there not? Moments of playing so completely that you forgot yourself, forgot time, forgot everything except the immediacy of being alive. That capacity is still within you. You never lost it. You only covered it over with layers of knowledge, layers of identity, layers of trying to be someone or achieve something. Now, you can return to that direct experience, but with the wisdom of an adult, with the understanding of one who has seen through the illusions. This does not mean you forget everything you have learned. You do not throw away your understanding or your practices. Rather, you hold them lightly, available when needed, but not clutching them constantly. You live from a place of simple presence, and when complexity arises, you can engage it skillfully. But you do not live in complexity. You live in the simple truth of this breath, this moment, this awareness. The rest is elaboration, decoration around the essential truth of being. Let us practice this return to simplicity now. Let go of every teaching from tonight. Let go of every practice, every concept, every word. Come back to the most basic experience possible. You are aware. Right now, in this moment, awareness is present. This is not complicated. A child knows this. An animal knows this. A tree knows this in its own way. You are here, you are aware, you are alive. Feel into this simple fact without any interpretation, without any philosophy. Just the raw, direct experience of being conscious, of being present. Notice how effortless this is. You are not creating awareness. You are not maintaining presence through force of will. It is simply here, naturally, easily, like breathing. This is your home base, your ground zero, your original nature before anything was added. And from this place of simple presence, you can meet whatever life brings. Not with complex strategies or sophisticated techniques, but with the natural intelligence that arises from being fully here, fully awake, fully yourself. A student once asked Ajahn Chah, "What is the heart of the Buddha's teaching?" The old master replied, "Nothing really, just see that this is the way things are." That is all. This seeing is not complex. It is not mystical or special. It is just clear, direct perception of what is, without the filter of wanting things to be different, without the story about what it means, without the analysis of why it is this way. Simply seeing, this is how it is right now. And in that seeing, there is peace, there is freedom, there is the end of struggle. As you rest here at the end of our journey together, feel the simplicity of just being here. Your body breathing, your heart beating, awareness aware. This is enough. This has always been enough. You traveled through complexity to remember this simplicity. You explored the nature of mind to realize that mind is simple at its core. Just this luminous presence, just this openness, just this being. Mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers, and you are you, just as you are, complete and whole and exactly right. The spiritual teacher Jean Klein once said, "The only real teacher is the absence of a teacher." In the end, there is no one teaching and no one being taught, only this presence recognizing itself. You have come home not to a new place, but to where you have always been. And now you know it for the first time, not with the mind, but with your whole being. Welcome home. Welcome to the simplicity that was here all along, waiting patiently for your return. The return to the simple. Coming full circle to what was always here. There once lived a Zen master named Ikkyu, who was famous throughout Japan for his wisdom and unconventional ways. After decades of intense practice, deep study and profound realization, he was asked by a student, "Master, after all these years of seeking enlightenment, what have you found?" Ikkyu paused, then smiled. He said, "I have discovered that before I studied Zen, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. When I began to study Zen, mountains were no longer mountains and rivers were no longer rivers. But now that I understand Zen, mountains are once again mountains and rivers are once again rivers." The student was confused. If you ended up where you started, what was the point of the journey? Ikkyu laughed gently. "I did not end where I started. I returned to where I started, but I am not the same person who began. At first, I saw mountains, simply, without question, like a child. Then, through practice, I began to see the emptiness of all things, the impermanence, the lack of inherent existence. Everything became complex, philosophical, analyzed. But now, after all this time, I see mountains simply again. Not with ignorance, but with wisdom. Not with blindness, but with clarity. The mountain is just a mountain, and this is profound. This teaching reveals something essential about the journey of self-knowledge. It is circular. You begin in simplicity, often the simplicity of not knowing, of living unconsciously, of taking everything at face value. Then you enter complexity, you analyze, you question, you deconstruct, you see through illusions. Your mind becomes sophisticated, your understanding nuanced. This is necessary, this is valuable. But it is not the end. The end is returning to simplicity, but now it is conscious simplicity, aware simplicity, the simplicity that comes from having traveled through complexity and emerged on the other side. You have journeyed far tonight, exploring the nature of mind, witnessing thoughts, understanding emotions, recognizing patterns, questioning identity, cultivating compassion. Your awareness has become more refined, more subtle, more spacious. But now, as we near the completion of this journey, it is time to let go of all sophistication, all technique, all effort. It is time to return to what was here before any of this began. Simple being, simple presence, simple awareness. Nothing more is needed. Nothing more has ever been needed. Lao Tzu taught this beautifully when he said, "In pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less is done until non-action is achieved. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone." This is the paradox of the spiritual path. You practice and practice, adding techniques and understanding until finally you can drop it all and simply be. The practices were not the point. They were the vehicle that brought you here, to this moment of recognizing that you need nothing, that you are already complete. Think about when you were a child, before you learned all the complicated ways of thinking about yourself and the world. There were moments of pure presence, were there not? Moments of playing so completely that you forgot yourself, forgot time, forgot everything, except the immediacy of being alive. That capacity is still within you. You never lost it. You only covered it over with layers of knowledge, layers of identity, layers of trying to be someone or achieve something. Now, you can return to that direct experience, but with the wisdom of an adult, with the understanding of one who has seen through the illusions. This does not mean you forget everything you have learned. You do not throw away your understanding or your practices. Rather, you hold them lightly, available when needed, but not clutching them constantly. You live from a place of simple presence, and when complexity arises, you can engage it skillfully. But you do not live in complexity. You live in the simple truth of this breath, this moment, this awareness. The rest is elaboration, decoration around the essential truth of being. Let us practice this return to simplicity now. Let go of every teaching from tonight. Let go of every practice, every concept, every word. Come back to the most basic experience possible. You are aware. Right now, in this moment, awareness is present. This is not complicated. A child knows this. An animal knows this. A tree knows this in its own way. You are here, you are aware, you are alive. Feel into this simple fact without any interpretation, without any philosophy. Just the raw, direct experience of being conscious, of being present. Notice how effortless this is. You are not creating awareness. You are not maintaining presence through force of will. It is simply here, naturally, easily, like breathing. This is your home base, your ground zero, your original nature before anything was added. And from this place of simple presence, you can meet whatever life brings. Not with complex strategies or sophisticated techniques, but with the natural intelligence that arises from being fully here, fully awake, fully yourself. A student once asked Ajahn Chah, "What is the heart of the Buddha's teaching?" The old master replied, "Nothing really, just see that this is the way things are." That is all. This seeing is not complex. It is not mystical or special. It is just clear, direct perception of what is, without the filter of wanting things to be different, without the story about what it means, without the analysis of why it is this way. Simply seeing, this is how it is right now. And in that seeing, there is peace, there is freedom, there is the end of struggle. As you rest here at the end of our journey together, feel the simplicity of just being here. Your body breathing, your heart beating, awareness aware. This is enough. This has always been enough. You traveled through complexity to remember this simplicity. You explored the nature of mind to realize that mind is simple at its core. Just this luminous presence, just this openness, just this being. Mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers, and you are you, just as you are, complete and whole and exactly right. The spiritual teacher Jean Klein once said, "The only real teacher is the absence of a teacher." In the end, there is no one teaching and no one being taught, only this presence recognizing itself. You have come home, not to a new place, but to where you have always been. And now you know it for the first time, not with the mind, but with your whole being. Welcome home. Welcome to the simplicity that was here all along, waiting patiently for your return. And so, here we are, together at the close of this journey through the landscape of consciousness, through the terrain of self-knowing. Take a deep breath and feel your body exactly where it is right now. Feel the surface beneath you, supporting you completely. Feel the air touching your skin. Feel the life force moving through you, this miraculous presence that you are. You have traveled far without moving at all. You have discovered depths without going anywhere. This is the nature of inner exploration. Vast distances covered while remaining exactly where you are. Throughout this night, you have met yourself in many ways. You have observed the mirror of consciousness, watched thoughts floating like leaves on a river, recognized the difference between knowing about yourself and knowing yourself directly. You have sat by the silent spaces between sounds, welcomed emotions as visitors in your garden, allowed the waters of your mind to settle like a lake under moonlight. You have discovered the witness that never changes, released the stories that kept you confined, and learned to be steady like a mountain while weather passes through. You have practiced receiving without retaining, like a mirror that reflects all without holding anything. You have cultivated compassion for yourself and all beings, recognizing the shared nature of our struggles and our beauty. You have learned to trust the invisible growth happening beneath the surface, like bamboo roots spreading in darkness. You have turned inward to find the source of wisdom that was always there, waiting patiently to be discovered. And you have returned full circle to the profound simplicity of just being here, aware, alive, complete. All of this, every teaching, every story, every practice, was simply pointing you back to yourself, to the truth that you already are what you have been seeking. You do not need to become anything other than what you are. You do not need to achieve some special state or reach some distant goal. You are already the awareness that witnesses all experience. You are already the presence that exists before thought and beyond thought. You are already home. You have always been home, and now you know it. As you prepare to release into deep sleep, know that this knowing does not leave you. It is not something you can lose because it is not something you acquired. It is what you are. Tomorrow, when you wake, the mind may be busy again. The world may present its challenges, and that is perfectly natural. But somewhere within you, a seed has been planted tonight. A remembering has occurred. And this seed will continue to grow quietly, steadily, transforming you in ways you cannot yet imagine. You do not need to do anything with what you have learned tonight. You do not need to remember every teaching or practice, every technique. Simply live your life, and when you feel lost or confused or overwhelmed, pause. Take a breath. Remember that you are the awareness, not the content. Remember that you are the sky, not the weather. Remember that you are the mountain, not the storm. Remember that you are already whole, already complete, already enough, exactly as you are in this moment. If these words have touched you, if this space has brought you peace, you are welcome to return whenever you need refuge. Subscribe to keep this sanctuary close, so that on nights when the world feels too loud or your mind too restless, you can come back here and remember what is true. This is your space as much as anyone's. These teachings belong to no one and everyone. They are here for you, always, a lamp in the darkness, a voice reminding you of your own light. Now let yourself sink into the deepest rest. Your body has carried you faithfully through this day and through this journey tonight. Thank it for its service. Your heart has beaten countless times without your attention or appreciation. Thank it for its dedication. Your breath has sustained you moment by moment, asking nothing in return. Thank it for its constancy. You are a miracle, a universe of complexity and simplicity woven together, and you are worthy of profound rest. As you drift towards sleep, know that consciousness continues even as the thinking mind releases. You are always aware, even in the depths of sleep, even in the spaces between dreams. This awareness is what you are, and it cannot be extinguished, cannot be diminished, cannot be lost. You are safe. You are held. You are loved by the universe that gave birth to you and that will receive you back one day, completing the circle. Let go now of any need to stay awake, any need to understand or accomplish anything more tonight. You have done beautiful work simply by being present, by listening, by opening yourself to these teachings. That is more than enough. Now it is time to rest, to release, to surrender into the great mystery of sleep, that small death and rebirth we experience every night, trusting that you will wake refreshed, renewed, remembering somewhere deep within that you are not lost, you are found, you are home. Good night, dear friend. May you sleep deeply and peacefully. May your dreams be gentle. May you wake with gratitude for this gift of life, this opportunity to be conscious, to be aware, to know yourself. And may you carry with you always the simple truth we have remembered together tonight. You are awareness itself, vast and free, and nothing can ever change that. Rest now. Be at peace. All is well.